What up, world? What up, world? What up, world? What up, world? It's your main man. I am DJ Double Dose, man. What's going on with you, man? With another episode of Double Dose on Reality Sports, man. We are back in the building, man. You already see what the title is, man. We got to talk about it because at the end of the motherfucking day, I'm trying to make sense of this. So let me bring it to my family. We're going to talk about it, man. You read the caption, Shedeur Sanders and the NFL draft. In case you was under a rock, which you shouldn't have been, because you know we football all day, every day. Combined with this past weekend, man. And there's been a lot said about one Shedeur Sanders. But before I get into it, let's read what Josina had to say. I am disappointed to hear that a quarterbacks coach from a team drafted in the top 7 referred to Shedeur Sanders as coming off as brash, arrogant in his team interview and making his assessment known to a number of people per sources. I am purposely not naming the team as to not directly call team out. I'm just sharing that this coach's personal assessment is the direct opposite from how Sanders came across to many reporters in his press conference with the media at the combine. Now, the one thing that we know when it comes to the NFL draft, you have people who are happy, excited about the position that they're picking in. You have other people who are kind of like whatever, but they know that they can strategically move up. They have the assets, they have the draft picks, they can possibly move up past their position. And then you got the people that were winners who know, hey, man, we had a good season. We ain't finna get up that high. It is what it is. Now, there's one or two things that's working here with Shedeur Sanders. For one, let's just look at it straight up and down. Let's just call a spade a spade. We know who his pops is. We know who he is. So for you to say that this man is acting arrogant or brash or whatever you want to put to it leads me to want to understand, have you talked to your scout person? Have you talked to your person in your scouting department? Have you watched ESPN at all over the last 3 years from when he was at Jackson to Colorado? Have you paid any attention to all of the endorsements that he has? Commercials that he has on TV. Have you paid attention to any of that? Because if you had, then you would know why he has a sense of confidence within himself. He doesn't show desperation. You know why? Because on top of everything I just mentioned, Dion is his pops. He grew up with money. He grew up with wealth. He wasn't broke. He didn't come from some broken home or anything like that. So I say all that to say, for you to say that he comes off in a different way further leads me to understand that you clearly have not been paying this man any attention over the last 3 years. The man is already a millionaire as we speak. As we speak. And oh, by the way, since we want to talk about things, let's not forget this. That's right. Read the numbers. 4,100 yards. 37 touchdowns. Only 10 picks. Somebody could say that's a lot, but whatever. 37 and 10, that's a good ratio. So when he was at Jackson and you said, various people in the media, that, oh, he's doing against lesser competition. He comes to Colorado and literally does the same thing he was doing at Jackson. Outside of win the conference, outside of win, obviously, but he's literally put up the same type numbers. So I'm saying all of that to say, what do we have working here? Is it a situation where whomever this GM is saying these things because what we see every year in the NFL draft. I can want you at a certain price, but if I can get that price, if your price is too high above my price point, then what am I going to do? Try to drive your value down. So hopefully, either A, you fall low enough where I can just get you straight out, or B, you fall low enough, you fall into a position that I can come up to. So if this is you, mixed with the fact that Dion has said that there are certain teams he already doesn't want his son to play for, well, what if you're one of said teams? It's a lot of jockeying going on, and I think I want us to all have a conversation and understand that a lot of this is a attack on his character of the person that he is. However, a lot of this is business too. I know y'all thought I was gonna go a different angle with it. I'm not gonna take up for anybody in this scenario because it's business. And if your NFL team is one of the teams that needs a quarterback, and depending on where you are, hey, you would want your front office, whether you as fucked up as it is, you would want your front office to do whatever it needs to be done in order to land him as your quarterback. Now, saying all that to say, the whole notion of he may not be a first-round draft pick, yada, yada, yada. Who's in this draft at quarterback? Is Shedeur. Top quarterbacks, because obviously we're not going to name all the quarterbacks. Is Shedeur, Cam Ward, Jackson Dart, Jalen Milroe. Now, how many teams need quarterbacks that's at the top of the draft? Okay, let's go ahead. Let's pull it up. We got time. We got a little time today. Everybody, you know what I'm saying? We got a little time today. So, we're going to pull this up. Everybody can see it. I'm going to share the screen in just a moment. Boom. All right, let's come back over here. Let's share the screen. Mm-hmm. All right, bam. Here we go. You got the Titans. First, number one, they're the number one overall pick. You got the Titans. They got Will Levis. Yeah, it is what it is. Number two, you got the Cleveland Browns. We all know they need a quarterback. And you got the New York Giants. They need a quarterback. So we're going to do the first top 10. So your first three need quarterbacks. Tennessee, Cleveland, New York. They all need quarterbacks. We're going to run to New England. Don't need a quarterback. Jacksonville, they still got 1 year left with Sunshine, Trevor Lawrence. They don't need a quarterback. The Raiders need a quarterback. Sitting at number 6. Remember what I said early on in the conversation. The Jets need a quarterback. Carolina don't need a quarterback. The Saints need a quarterback. And then you close it out with the Bears, who don't. So, all right. So when you look at that, when you look at those teams that I mentioned, you look at that. If you are the Saints, the Jets, or the Raiders, you're sitting at 6, 7, and 9. All three of the top 3 teams need what, people? Need a quarterback. And so do those 3 that I mentioned. So if you are this anonymous person and you are working for one of those said 3 teams that I mentioned that's towards the bottom of the top 10, yeah, you're going to do everything in your power, whatever it is that you can reasonably do to try to drive somebody's stock down. So hopefully you can get to your sweet spot and move up to get said person. Because the way it's looking, Cam Ward is going to be the first quarterback off the board. And that's fine. I personally wouldn't take Cam Ward over Shedeur. Just saying, he's short, turnover machine. Don't know if he's going to be able to handle the big. Again, we can go on and on and on. I personally, if I'm choosing between the two, I would say you can call me biased. It's cool. It's cool. Don't assassinate me. Pow, 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 pow. Don't assassinate me. Just saying. If it was me and I had to choose between the two, I'm taking Shedeur. But that's just me. So I know I went on. That's a little longer than I expected to go. But the point of the matter is this. When you are, don't get upset, don't get mad, just understand the politics of the NFL draft, as most of us do. Understand the politics of the draft. Shedeur Sanders, not only is he a first-round quarterback, not only is he a first-round quarterback, he is, whichever lens you want to view it from, 1A or 1B, top 1 or 2 quarterback in this whole entire draft. Despite all this negative BS that's being pushed right now by all these people who can't seem to understand the person that he is. But if you've been following him for the last 3 years, then you would fully understand who he is as a person. And if you are said GM, please do not look stupid. Hey, Tuck, I'm sorry I got to make this comment about your score. I'm sorry, Tuck. I'm sorry. Do not be the Giants GM who didn't want to re-sign Saquon Barkley. Don't be him. Don't be that guy. Do not pass up on Shedeur Sanders. If your ass know you need a quarterback, listening to this nonsense, don't pass up on Shedeur Sanders. I'm just going to say, look, I cannot wait for the draft. We will have coverage of the draft. Cannot wait for the draft. But please, man, all of you media people, just chill. Because do not knock somebody for what you don't understand or what you're not trying to understand. Colin Cowherd, you my dog, man. I've been rocking with you for a minute. But for you to make the comment you made about him wearing the backwards hat, come on, man. What are we doing? Because he had his hat backwards, that doesn't mean he can lead your team. On that note, that's what we'll leave it at. Colin Cowherd, you my dog, but do better. Do better. You've been in this game way too long to make lazy ass points like that, bro. Do better. In other news, they had some meetings over the last couple weeks. Oh, the SEC and the Big Ten was throwing they weight around, buddy. From everything from expansion to how many seeds they want and everything. Here's my 2 cents. If you are the Big 12 and you are Notre Dame and you are Mountain West, whatever other conference, and of course the ACC. I know everybody's trying to pitch this whole, oh man, the seeding was bad, man. They should do the seeding better. The seeding should be better. Oh man, it should be granted off of the rankings that we have. There shouldn't be any automatic. It shouldn't be any people that win a conference. They shouldn't get an automatic bye. Yada, yada, yada. Let me tell y'all something. You sign off on that bullshit if you want to. You sign off on that if you want to. What you're going to get is the top 4 byes is going to be 2 SEC teams and 2 Big Ten teams. Unless you manage to go undefeated. That's in you in the ACC or you in the Big 12. Unless you somehow manage to go undefeated, if they do what they want to do, there's not a chance in hell that anybody from another conference outside of the Big Ten or the SEC, if they go with this new format that they're tossing around, anybody outside of those conferences will be getting the bye. Now, I will say this. Oregon got screwed. So the other thing that they are talking about, I said last year, your championship games is not going to be what you know it to be. They have to change that because Oregon ultimately got screwed. Oregon won the Big Ten and ended up with the hardest road in the playoffs. Oregon literally had to play, if it would have played out, had they won, had they beat Ohio, they had to play Ohio State, had they, even though they didn't, but had they somehow managed to beat Ohio State, they would have had to play Texas as well. All of that by being the only team that was under. They were the only team that went undefeated. And they literally ended up with the hardest part of the bracket. So if that's going to be your argument for reseeding or whatever you want to call it, I guess. But if you are the ACC and you are the Big 12, man, I'm telling you right now, I would not sign off on that shit because you already know what's going to happen. They're already lobbying to expand so they can get four guaranteed spots each conference. The SEC and the Big Ten. And if you agree to whatever they're talking about with the reseeding, that means that you are going to never get an automatic bye unless you go undefeated. Now, do I personally think that that is cool? No. I am an ACC fan. My team belongs to the ACC. So no, I'm not. If I am not going to co-sign this nonsense. Although Oregon, I felt like Oregon got screwed. In the end, I don't think that everything was just that bad. It was the first year, people. Like we said on the show, it was the first year. Can it use some tweaking? Of course. I don't think we got to go all the way to the extreme of we can just tweak it. However we need to tweak it, let's just tweak it just a little bit. But you do understand and you do know what we're up against if you are in a conference not named the SEC and not named the Big Ten. There will be more news about the expansion, about however they look at the new playoff system. Obviously, there'll be more news, and as the news comes, we'll cover it. Last but not least. Florida State and Clemson, they came to an agreement with the ACC. Well, they're coming to an agreement the way it looks with the ACC. Caption says FSU settles. What happened? What did FSU and Clemson get from this? Because some people could say, well, eggs in their face. They did the lawsuit. It didn't work. Yada, yada, yada. Anybody with any kind of common sense knows this was never going to court. It was going to be a settlement. They were never going to court. And if you are the ACC, you had to bend. Because here's what you didn't want if you're the ACC. You didn't want this thing to go left. We seen what happened when it goes left. It goes down fast. The Pac-12 disappeared. Like, I mean, it went. I mean, they knew UCLA and USC was leaving, but when they couldn't strike that TV deal, man, it went, and it went like that. So if you are the ACC, what did you have to ultimately end up? What have you ultimately ended up doing? You ended up putting a Band-Aid on it, but you kept your conference alive and intact for at least another 5 years, because we're in 2025. So you kept your conference alive at least for another 5 years. This is what FSU proposed to you in the beginning, that, hey, us, Clemson, Miami, to some degree, depending on who you ask, North Carolina, we carry the rest of these teams in this conference when it comes to TV rating, mainly FSU, but we carry this conference when it comes to TV ratings. We carry it. And there's no reason for us, who care as much about football as we do, and we carry the conference, for us to be getting the same, not being funny, but for us to be getting the same amount of money that Wake Forest gets. For Clemson to be getting the same amount of money that Boston College gets. When you're watching a Boston College and Wake Forest game, who the hell is watching besides Boston College and Wake Forest fans? Nobody. So why in the hell should Florida State and Clemson be getting the same amount of money as those schools when they're actually carrying the conference? Not to mention, over the last 20 years, because Miami sure ain't did it, boom, I had to throw a Miami shot. Boom, I had to throw a Miami shot, because since they've been in the conference, they ain't did shit. But when you look at the conference over the last 20 years, who has actually won national titles? Who's brought your conference national titles? If you go from 2000 to where we are now, who's actually brought you titles in football, national titles? Clemson and Florida State. Who's actually brought you playoff appearances? Clemson and Florida State. And I guess now you can throw, because of this expanded foolishness, we can throw SMU. Since the playoffs been around, you've had Florida State, Clemson, and SMU. National championships over the last 20, 25 years has been FSU and Clemson. So why in the world, with that data point, should Clemson and FSU continue to get the same amount of money? So they sat down and they said, hey, look, if you are XYZ, top earner in the conference, we're going to break everything down. You will get XYZ said amount of money more than everybody else, which is the model that FSU pitched to y'all a couple of years ago before they even did the damn lawsuit. But what FSU and Clemson gain is this. They continue on the trajectory that they are on. They will make more money, which is what they ultimately want. It's not SEC and Big Ten money, but it closens the gap just a little bit. And number two, when this thing is up in 2030, when the other, well, not when this is up, but when the other conferences, TV deals and all of that comes up around 2030, 2031, guess what? The buyout drops below 100 million. So all of that ironclad, FSU gonna have to pay, it still lets me know the ACC still must be some more bull, as Unc would say, there must be some bull jive deep in that contract, because baby, they have done everything in their power to make sure that nobody really sees the full deal that the ACC and ESPN got. That's neither here nor there. But this whole contract about they was going to have the media rights, it was going to cost all this crazy $500, $600, $700 million to leave and all of that for the exit fee. We do this right here. In 5 years, we can go. for less than $100 million. By then, if you're FSU, the stadium will be done, the players on the facility will be done. Even if it's $100 million on the head, if you want to dip, we can dip. But in between time, the ACC is probably going to get 2 people in the playoffs going forward. So, and you don't got to deal with the SEC and the Big Ten gauntlet for right now. And you should be able to get a couple more playoff appearances. So, do I think that this is everything that FSU wanted? Not necessarily, but it's a step in the right direction. And look, both sides gave a little, both sides took a little. So look at it from that lens, and there you go, man. Look, I know it's been a little hot second since I've been on, man, but it's cool, man. You know what I'm saying? We back up in the building, man. You know, it's the off season, so I can't say we're going to do twice a week, but we definitely will be able to bang out at least one show a week going forward, man. So thank y'all for rocking with me. You'll already know what time it is, man. We are still working with the Post Network, man. Keep your eyes, keep everything peeled as the network continues to grow and we continue to bring you more content, man. And I just want to say, man, thank each and every one of y'all, man. We had an amazing season. We are in the off season. We're going to talk about them Lakers who as of today, which is March the 5th, we are the number 2 seed in the West. The Los Angeles Lakers are the number 2 seed in the Western Conference. Leave that alone. Thank you again for rocking with me, man. Live, laugh, and love, man. Live your life to the fullest. Love on the people that love you back and find you something to laugh at each and every day. And I'm out.